3 new Spectrum games that will blow your tiny minds. I always say it, but who'd have thought that in Space Year 2021 we'd still be getting new Spectrum games, and let alone the fact it's not just platformers and puzzlers that we're getting, but we're getting commercial quality computer games, full price games from back in the day, but better. And today we're going to look at 3 new games for the Spectrum, and I'm going to say this, ChinnyVision isn't in the business of breaking new games. Other channels do that and covering them as soon as they come out. So if you've seen these before, then, well, just go and watch something else really. But all of these have been released in the past year. One thing we have been lacking on all the 8-bits until very recently is new racing games. We've got Fire Tire on the Amstrad, and Travel Through Time Volume 1 Northern Lights is on the Spectrum. It requires 128K. When you start the game, you can opt to use the CD that comes with the purchased version, or you can just have the chip tunes that come with the normal download version. And it's a game that's going to, I think, going to have several releases. There's going to be different versions. We're in the 50s, and it has cutscenes, and we're going to travel through through time. And it's a racing game, but there's a story attached. The game's based in Sweden, hence the name Northern Lights. You're gently eased into the game, and you'll be just testing out your car where you ride along, and then Uncle Bjorn, not a rapper, comes along and has a chat with you about what you're going to be doing. This game seemingly loads all in one. I want to say this, when you're watching all the game and the cutscenes and everything, I can't see there's a multi-load. It just seems to load all in 128K, and that's it. I'm not Sven-Goran Eriksson either. So we resume again, and look how the road curves, and oh no, it's Mr. PSP in a train. Yes, that kind of blows your mind the first time it happens and you're driving along. Luckily, you get to attempt the level again, and there we go, we finished it. And look, we've arrived on some kind of campsite where there's a blonde lady on the left and a brunette lady on the right. And I appear to be Rick Astley. You can skip all this by pressing gears if you want to, but I mean, again, you're getting all these cutscenes in one load. Aim of the game is to basically race, and race against the competitors to impress, well, the ladies. And just look at this, look how well the graphics are drawn, look at the frame rate, it is absolutely mind-blowing. Roadside objects have shadows, you go onto bridges that have shadows that are cast onto you. It really is astonishing, the huge car sprites and how they handle. And I'm assuming as the game goes through the decades, or the subsequent releases go through the decades, the cars will handle a bit better, because these 1950s cars don't handle particularly well, but that's what you'd expect. There's usually a time... Oh, they go under a bridge. And there's usually a time limit or a position that you need to reach in each section. Fail the section and you'll be asked to do it again. And as you get into the game, yes, you will find yourself repeating sections, because it does get hard quite quickly. Once you get past level 6 or so, you find that one mistake on a level will cost you the entire level, and that's my only criticism of the game so far. I've been playing this over multiple nights, and I wanted to do it as a standalone review, but it's just that bit too hard to get far enough into it to do a genuine full review that shows you a nice chunk of the game, so I've put it into this roundup. It is, however, absolutely astonishing fun. I can't tell you. Yes, you do have the frustration from the hardness and how these 1950s cars handle, and the handling is completely understandable, because, as I say, I think you're going to find that with subsequent releases and you get more modern cars, they're going to handle better. But the graphics have almost 3D depth to them. The colours are kept minimal in order to avoid colour clash, but work really well. I mean, look at the yellow sky here. You wouldn't think that would work, but it does. And just the shading, it's an absolutely glorious game. It's a huge technical achievement, a must play. My only concern is the game does get quite hard fairly quickly. It's astonishing. Chances are you've already played Wonderful Dizzy. It was released at the end of last year, 2020, and is a brand new Dizzy game. Originally intended to be on the Spectrum Next until Spectrum Next owners decided to, ruin it for everyone. But there is a full Spectrum 128K release here. It doesn't work in a 48K. The game is designed by the Oliver twins, as any good Dizzy game should be. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the names of the coders, but you'll see their names go past here at the top, and they have managed an astonishing achievement, as you'll see. If you think you've seen everything from a Dizzy game, then no, this is an update. There is a story behind the game. It's based on the Wizard of Oz. Zardoz speaks to you, his chosen ones. As with most Dizzy games, you start in the room and have to get out. This made me laugh, actually, because it immediately puts you straight back into the Dizzy games. Trapped in a room, solve a puzzle, so to show people who haven't played a Dizzy game how to do it. And at the moment, everything's in black and white. You're thinking, they're trying to avoid colour clash. Nope. In fact, they have just taken complete disregard to colour clash and gone, we're going to make this game as colourful as possible. And you would think it doesn't work. And in fact, the first time you play it, you think, oh, hang on a minute. But actually, it really does work. Dizzy can pass behind things, in front of things, and it's always clear. I'm not sure how it would look on a UHF TV. That I haven't checked, but perhaps the game designers have decided, hey, everyone's going to be using a RGB, or at least a composite display these days. So it should be okay. And in fact, thinking about it, if it doesn't run on the 48K, then composite's not even anything to worry about. So you're going to be on RGB or in emulator or a Next playing this version, but not the proper version. All the favourite characters are here. This is Dozy, except they're not, but he's supposed to be the Scarecrow in this. Basically, Dizzy's not sure if he's having a dream. There's Pliny and Histor, the time-travelling crows. And there's big arrows that point towards things you can walk towards. The puzzles, it's very Dizzy. It's just a Dizzy game in terms of how you play it. It is just the presentation has been pushed up by several notches. I just really like how they've used the colour. And you can pick up fruit to replenish your energy. And the other thing, I keep mentioning the graphics and the colour, but it's the animation. It is so smooth. It doesn't look like a Spectrum game in terms of the animation. It moves more like something that actually has full sprite support. But they've got this working so smoothly. I really hope they can reuse this engine and do something else, perhaps 5 years' time or something. Or perhaps this really is the ultimate Dizzy game. It still has Dizzy tropes. You still have to jump on clouds and you still die. And I'm guessing it wouldn't be a Dizzy game without unfair deaths. But it just looks so good. And Wonderful Dizzy is a free download. I don't think there's any physical copies available. I think they were going to do one for the Spectrum Next, weren't they? But and Wonderful Dizzy is a free download for your Spectrum, so you've got no excuse not to download it and play it, really, unless you've got a 48K, in which case, well, go get a 128K Specky pretty quick. When you've been playing the game for half hour, the music does begin to grind just a little bit, but it's a really nice tune. And again, it sounds in keeping. It's not... I wouldn't say the music track on this is groundbreaking. It is what you'd expect, like the graphics from a Dizzy game, but polished up by 20 years. I'm wondering if anyone's going to actually port this to other systems like the Amstrad CPC, because, Dizzy originated on the CPC, so it'd be nice to see it on that system, although, well, who knows what people can do with hardware tricks these days. CPC Plus version? 4,096 colours, 32 on screen. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Or even like Switchblade in the medium resolution, actually. But that's a wish list. I mean, look at this. It's just gorgeous. Trying to think of criticisms, and the only thing I can think of is it's a bit wordy in places. There's a lot of dialogue with the characters. But, I mean, if that's the biggest complaint with the game, then, well, you know, it's not much to complain about, is it? Overall, Wonderful Dizzy is a quite superb Dizzy game. It's Dizzy, but updated for 2021. It feels like a really modern game, but it's still 9087 Dizzy, and it's still running on a 128K spectrum from 9086 to 9087. It's just an astonishing achievement. Fantastic game design by the Oliver twins, who've really upped it from all the stuff they've learned in the intervening years, I suppose, of how to make a really good computer game. Not that the original games were bad, but we all learn as we move on. And the coding team behind this have done such a good job. Absolutely silky smooth graphics, not a hint of flicker. They've used colour clash to the game's advantage, and the soundtrack is amazingly appropriate. It would have been easy to go OTD, do clever stuff with samples and all sorts of things like that. No, they've just made it look and sound like a Dizzy game, but all these years on. I think this is even better than Prince of the Oak Folk on the Amiga, and that is a Dizzy game that stands head and shoulders above all the others. But what about you 48K owners? Worry not, I've got a game for you that will blow your mind, and it's going to blow your mind as soon as you load it up. I'm going to stop talking for a few seconds because this is my 48K Plus, and this is the game's beeper music. Astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. Move over, Tim Follin. There's a new sheriff in town. That music is by Rich Hollins. The Xenoblast is by Tony Kingsmill. It's a top-down shoot-'em-up, and it has 7 levels. Okay, once we're into the game, it's like many other shoot-'em-ups, like Light Force, for example. It plays rather well. You can shoot the enemy bullets as far as I've seen so far. I've not been able to spend as much time with this game as I have with Wonderful Dizzy and Northern Lights. But from what I can see, this is a really nice shoot-'em-up. Sure, the blowing your mind bit kind of finishes once you've heard that title music, which is astonishing. I'm just going to say that again. That's my 48K. We're seeing this on my 48K now, the game playing. And again, graphically, this is nothing special. Gameplay-wise, this is nothing special. It is instead competent. The game is generous with the smart bombs, which you will need to lose. We're over to my +2. The game does say on the title screen it has 128K music, although I've not heard it on my 128K here because I'm still getting the beeper music. But I assume that perhaps loading it from SD card or something, there's something going on here that I don't understand with the 128K version. But it's good. It's actually a good shoot-'em-up. It does get hard quite quickly on level 2, but you basically go through the level shooting all the baddies using your smart bombs, which you will need to use, and then kind of you've got to fetch this object at the end of the level. And that's level 1 done. And we are back on the 48K now, 48K Plus. Level 2 is a change of colour, and we're just off we go again. And it just ramps up the difficulty just very slightly. It's a very competent and enjoyable shoot 'em up. As I say, and back on my +2, once you're past that music, no, this isn't going to set the world alight, but I found myself having fun with it. And as I say, I've run out of time reviewing this particular game today due to the other games, but it's a game I'm definitely going to come back to. So that's 3 new Spectrum games that are going to blow your mind. Travel Through Time, Northern Lights. Wow, what a stunning racing game. What a technical achievement. It's just astonishing that Spectrum can run this and do it all. And someone's put all this effort into a game in 2021. Just the first time your car goes under a bridge and it casts a shadow on your car, and just the large sprites and the sheer speed of it. It's astonishing, and then linking it all together with a narrative. Absolutely brilliant. My only complaint is I just found it a little bit hard once you start getting into the game, having to reattempt levels over and over again. But overall, it's mind-blowing. Wonderful Dizzy shows what you can do if you take expert Spectrum coders with some of the best game designers on the Spectrum scene, the Oliver Twins, and give them, the Oliver Twins, 25 plus years, 30 years more game design experience, and then putting it all into a Dizzy game. It's absolutely brilliant. They've got everything right. Decisions when you first start to play it that you thought might be wrong, like the colour clash, as soon as you get into the game, it actually works really, really well. It looks so attractive. It's strange to see a game not shying away from colour clash, but actually using it. And everything's so silky smooth, and everything's just gelled so well. Some people might say, well, it's just another Dizzy game. Well, it kind of is, but it's a Dizzy game where everything's been turned up to 11. Everything's kind of maxed out to be the best it can be. It's so well done. It plays fantastically. Well done to all concerned. Really shows off what the Spectrum can do. Xenoblast as a shoot 'em up isn't going to set the world alight, but by goodness, that opening music is astonishing. It's Fallen level stuff. Fallen has more channels, but the heft and beef to the music and all that modulation and stuff going on, it's absolutely brilliant. And then, okay, once you get into the game, it's a standard top-down shoot 'em up, but it is extremely competently done. No, the graphics in it and the gameplay aren't going to set the world alight, but frankly, you've been set up so well by that title music, like with Chronos. Chronos isn't a particularly good shoot 'em up, but by goodness me, once you've heard that music, you're really going to be going, wow, I want to play this game. It's brilliant to see what these coders can do with the Spectrum in 2021. It just kind of it blows your mind, really, the humble Specky can do all of this stuff. And certainly if there's going to be more versions of Travel Through Time, Northern Lights, well, I really look forward to those. Well done to all the coders concerned with this, and the game designers and the musicians and graphic artists. All 3 of these games, absolutely brilliant. You should download them all and play them. I say it again, I'm completely astonished